You know, I think the harder point to get at was the other part of his. I've worked for the Forest Service for 20 years. I've had a series of background checks, fingerprints. Two of us at the lab that I work at in Juneau helped with a youth program this winter, and we were required to be fingerprinted and have a background check.
Yeah.
How do you do that? Where do you get the funding? How do you do that with volunteers if that's going to be required? And that's the part with me, to me, that's more challenging and difficult right now, is the fear of having kids out with folks like us.
Well, and one of the ways that we address that is by partnering with folks who also have their vetting process. So we at Parks and Wildlife, Texas Parks and Wildlife, we do background checks on all our certified volunteers. Of course, you always have to, you know, we know those rules of do adults, this and that. But when we partner, we are sure that our partner also has that vetting process. And so a lot of times we may do training, but we're not holding ourselves responsible for we train the trainer for what they do. But yeah, it's definitely real, but I don't think there's any getting past background checks. And our volunteers do it, and we have some people that we've had to reject, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
I have a question following up on Dr. Compton's comment about, you know, he's active, his children are active, his grandchildren, no. I want to know what's not happening. Are we not talking to children? Because the child is in this room, would they be going, well, duh? I mean, is there a problem with asking children what we need to do? Is there input from children? And then number two, if the competition is these guys, is anybody talking to them? You know, the comment was made, doctors are people too. I assume that these people, the electronic games people, they're people too. They have children. They don't want them to die. Is there an outreach to them in terms of how can they partner to make this work? And you come with a million programs, but if the kids think it's stupid, you go nowhere. So I guess it's sort of frustrating.
Yeah, we are talking with kids, and part of that is the natural leaders and what rings your bells, what doesn't. The Outdoor Foundation has done some really good surveys on that as well, but we need to do more. We need to do these, what I might have heard Dr. Sanchez talk about, these regional collaborations, and why I feel so strongly about grassroots efforts, because it's when you talk to people face to face, when you have kids be part of the design of the next nature playscape, and you say, the kids say, I want to climb, I want to explore, I want a hiding place, I want this and that, and when you meet them where they are, it does make a difference. Are we doing enough? No, but you're absolutely, I think, totally on track, and you're right, if the friends don't want to do it, they don't want to do it either, so there are a lot of pieces there, but I think we're moving in the right direction. And again, getting back to the concern about the amount of diversity that we have in the room, which is pretty minor here. We don't have a lot of diversity, but natural leaders do. And why is that? Because somebody asked them. Somebody said, let's talk together. And that's face to face. And a lot of times that happens at the local level. So again, I'm going to keep beating that drum, but I think that we need to always, the personal relationships, make a difference, because this is a very personal issue. With the gaming, there has been some discussion with it, and some of those are what can you do with, whether it's the GIS or with tracking. They have things with like Nature Tracker. Schools are using equipment and then going back out to, you know, find stuff and whatever. In terms of the gaming community, I think that's, maybe someone in this room, maybe your kids are going to crack that nut. But there is concern, there is interest. We're not there yet. We're not there yet.
All right, so I think we're just hitting up on the lunchtime. I don't want to cut into anybody's time while we have a lunchtime speaker. But just to wrap up, I think this has been an excellent session. We've heard from two different perspectives. Dr. Sanchez talking about the health and the connections to the insurance industry, which I, in great hopes that will continue to evolve so that it no longer becomes a question of knocking on the door and getting sent to the marketing department, but it actually gets sent to the people who underwrite the insurance. And so that's one of the dreams that Derek and I have one day. And certainly from the Children in Nature Network to continue the outreach to our children. And I guess I'd leave you with one final thing, is that despite the fact that we talk about health and the link to recreation, all of us, other than me, unless I miscounted, I think I'm the only doctor in the room. And so, given that, we should continue to focus on the strengths that we bring to the equation, in the doctor, health, recreation equation, and that you all are the experts on the types of activities you can do and where to do them. And just remember that the colleagues that you speak to across the aisle when it comes down, not political aisle, but the specialty aisle, when you speak to the folks who are doctors, they don't know what you're talking about. And you have a tremendous amount to offer them. They will tell you what is the metabolic equivalent of doing something, or what your heart rate needs to be. But remember, your assets are where you are, what you're going to bring, where you can do them, and the types of diversity of activities that you can do. And I think that has a lot of marquee value when you have an initial conversation with the physicians. My hope, and we're continuing to develop this, is this collaboration with other physicians. And this, we've developed a vehicle that we almost tongue-in-cheek have called Physicians for Healthy Americans Through Fun Outdoors. And the acronym is FATFO. I don't know. So we gave this an acronym, came up with it last year. And it is a collection of physicians like Dr. Sanchez, Dr. Miller, Dr. Wong, all the quotation, all the folks who have written articles on this idea, because there are too many lone voices out in the United States that are talking about this. There are a few of us that have actually gotten together and met, and I think I've met most of them now. And so one of the things that we're hoping to do is actually do a CV conference, really make it have some meeting for physicians, and talk about it from a purely medical perspective and loop in the industry folks. I see big masses in the audience because I think Snowbird sounds like a wonderful location for that kind of meeting. So anyway, thank you all for that, and we'll see you guys next week. Thanks.